A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there to my channel, the Twinflame Union. And this is the part 4 of the channeling session, Divine Masculine gives total attention to the Divine Feminine. And this is a very special channeling. The reason is that I received this channeling in a dream sequence last night. Also, something very interesting that happened is when I was trying to complete the channeling last evening, in fact last night before I hit the bed, I simply could not do it, which means that when I tried to do it in the evening time, something kept happening. Either the door was knocked many times, or there was some disturbance, or the doorbell rang, or some work came up. I kept getting so many phone calls. So I felt that there was a lot of disturbance, going on, that I could not really finish part 4. And whenever this happens, I know that there is something coming up. Something will happen in such a way that it will complete the channeling in a very profound manner. And since I also do the channeling in part series, I know that every part is very important because they don't happen at the same time. So interestingly, something happened in the dream first, and then something else happened the next morning. And then I realized that it is finally the time that I should share this channeling because the download was received by me. So I will get straight away into the dream first. Now the dream is also very interesting because I could be both the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine. It was like I could be in both of them, their minds at the same time. So it was very fast. The energy was being sent to me really like it must have been in a short span, because it's like 1 second I could perceive the feelings of the feminine and the other second I could perceive the feelings of the masculine. So now what I saw in the dream was, I saw a Divine Masculine and Feminine traveling together. They were on a trip and they were sitting next to one another, and both of them were talking to one another and looking outside the window. The masculine was sitting at the window seat and the feminine was on the aisle seat, and they were chit-chatting with one another. And I felt a lot of warm and fuzzy love. And I know that I don't say all this in the channeling, but I really felt like I could really get all the feelings of the Divine Masculine. My body, I could feel the shirt of the masculine, and he was really happy to be sitting next to her. So, when you're sitting together, your arms, they rub against one another in between, or they touch against one another. So he was trying not to show to her how excited, how happy he is. And every time she would touch him by mistake, or she was very oblivious to the surroundings. Now, when I sensed the feelings of the feminine, I felt and I saw that she was completely lost in something. So they were both traveling for a reason, which although looked very personal, like a family function or a family gathering, but I sensed that she was there for something that she wanted to do. And it was the Divine Masculine who had asked her to hop on for a trip where he would be visiting the family. He would be a part of the function. And she would be, she was supposed to do some work in that particular area. So it's like you have to go for a wedding to another city, and the feminine had work in the same city. It was actually the masculine's idea, who gave her this idea to her that, hey, why don't you come along with me? We can club it. You can do your work and I can hang out with my family, and then we can be back together. And she kind of liked that idea because I could sense that though She was very engrossed in something which I could not see what she was so engrossed in, but she was doing something. But she was happy with his presence. I think the more suitable word instead of happy would be she's comfortable with his presence. More than other people, she was more comfortable to be with him. So she said, okay, I'm any which way going to this city. I'm any which way heading to this city. So you can also call it like a divine intervention, a plan which was there because of God's intervention. So she was going to that particular city or that particular state, or it could also be out of country at the same specific time when the divine masculine had to attend a family gathering or some kind of personal thing in the same place. So they were together, and I could see that she was talking and she was looking outside while she was traveling. She was looking at the people. She was looking at everything, like every detail, she was looking at the clothes, and extremely aware personality, whosoever it was, extremely aware of everything that was happening. And yet I could feel a lot of sense of peace and calm and contentment in whosoever it was. Now, because I could not see the faces, but I did definitely, see the face of the masculine very clearly, the people, other people, but towards the feminine, I mostly saw her profile. Or maybe I was really not, I was very okay with the energy that the feminine had, which was very peaceful, calm and serene. But she did have straight hair. Now, all of these details don't matter because wherever the energy, and that's why I don't like to give the physical appearances or details, because physical appearance can be whatever. And most of the times when these dream sequences happen, some of the people that we personally know, they can also play the characters. So people who don't know how to interpret dreams, they get confused to see their own people, but it's actually the similar energies of those people who would be playing a role play, just like taking a body or taking an identity just to play, just to interact that role. So interestingly, he was very much happy to be next to her, and she was very busy. She had literally some paperwork and she had some books in her hand, and she had this small bag or something where she was carrying all of this stuff, and in between she was, even while they were traveling, she was reading something or she was making notes and all that. And he was making sure that she is very comfortable, and he would keep asking her for water or something. Do you want to eat this? Do you want to eat that? So it was a very smooth travel that they did. Like a one-way travel was very smooth. Now then I saw that though she was not supposed to be a part of that family gathering, but she did go there. She was there and she was wearing something traditional, but she wasn't really a part of it. Like she just went there. She went there for the food, I think. A lot of divine feminines would resonate with that. She went there for the food, she ate the food, and she could see the people talking, and the masculine was talking to them, and he was sort of looking at her, but she had told him not to tell anyone that she's there with him. They had this sort of a deal because she specifically tells him that I don't want to meet people over there. You don't have to introduce me to anyone. You don't have to say who I am or why I'm there and what we are doing here, etc., etc. I will just go there. I will have eat the food, all the amazing food. I'll have a meal and then I'll leave from there, and then we can meet later on. I also feel that there is some kind of intimacy between these two people. Now, why this whole concept of commitment is not coming out clear in this is, though there is a lot of commitment in their hearts for one another, more from the divine masculine, I sense it, less from the divine feminine. She is very committed to what she's doing. That commitment is very clear. And he is very appreciative of the fact that she is committed to something. He does not talk about it at all. He doesn't ask any questions. But in the party situation, I see him looking at her while she's taking the food. She's, seating herself, and she's just enjoying the meal, everything. And he's looking at her from a distance. They wave, she waves, and he just makes eye contact, probably blinks or just winks or something. And she leaves from there. Now, I will explain it to you once I tell you the whole dream sequence. Then I'll explain what all is actually going on energetically. Then in the next part, I see that the divine masculine's father and mother are discussing a business idea with him where they plan to open up a place. It could be a shop, it could be a center, it could be a studio, it could be anything. But it is something that the mother is very keen on doing. The father is not so keen, but he's okay, like with the idea that it would be some kind of a business revenue and they would be earning. And the son would be involved in one of the centers or one of the studios in another place, and it would be nice. But he knows that the son is not so keen into it, even though the son has not, who's the masculine, has not even once shared with the father that he's not keen for this. But still the father knows. The father really wants to tell the son that, hey, if you don't want to do this, you can drop it. It's okay. You don't have to really do it. But the father is not saying anything to the son because the son has not said anything. He has not rejected the idea, or he has, but his, body language is such that he is okay with it, but he's not very keen or very interested into it. Then the mother is shown, she's very excited about this project, about this business idea, and she's going on and on and on and on that, okay, this money will come and that will happen and this will happen and you can do this and blah, blah, blah. Then I see that the father sees the two of them together, the feminine and the masculine are together. She's basically gone to meet him, or she bumps into him somewhere. And I also sense some kind of a living together arrangement. It's almost like he goes to a place which they have taken up on their own, like together. But she lives over there, but he doesn't. But he goes there often to chill or to hang out with her or even spend time. Now, I don't know why the relationship is not so clear. Are they husband and wife? Did they get married but not tell anyone? Was it a secret marriage? Or are they live-in relationship? Or he just goes home and comes back and the people don't know at his house that he's with her? Something is hidden over here. There is some kind of a curtain kept on it, or I think it was not shown to me because it really didn't matter. That's the type of a feeling I got. Now what happens is that she's waiting for him somewhere with the masculine, and the masculine is with the father, and they three of them meet. She greets the father greets her, and the father in an instant, in 1 second after looking at her, realizes that this is the love of my son's life, or she is the girl he's dating or he's with or he's romantically involved with. But he also sees that the girl is very detached. Even the father senses the same energy that I sense, that she's completely in her zone, completely in something of her own. She's so involved, so busy with something. But she's very friendly and she's very nice, and she acknowledges the fact that he is Divine Masculine's father and obviously an important person in his life. But again, I am very much surprised with the detachment that I sensed in the Divine Feminine. It was almost like detachment towards the whole twin flame journey. She had no attachment with this twin flame journey. Now, my thought was like, why is she not attached to the twin flame journey? I really couldn't understand at that point in time. But I wanted to see what's ahead. So then I see that the Divine Masculine walks up to the Divine Feminine. They're sitting in a restaurant. There's a table, and again, she's very like, she likes to eat. So she is on the table and they are waiting for the food, and she has a folder, she has papers, there are some files, and she's wearing a headphone, like very chilled out personality. So she is talking about her work, and she's like, yeah, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have a meeting. And then she smiles at the Divine Masculine and she says, so what have you decided? Even though I really want this to be the fourth part, but the way, this dream was so extensive, I don't know if I would try my best to make it the fourth part, but if I don't, then we will do it again in the fifth part. But any which way, so coming back to the dream, she's going on talking about her work, and she's very much into the mission work that she's doing on planet Earth. She is so much into the project, like you would be thinking that I'm repeating it so much. The only reason I'm repeating it so much is because throughout this dream, the only energy or the only thought I got from the Divine Feminine was all about the mission. All about the mission, all about the mission, nothing else. She didn't give me anything about the Divine Masculine other than the fact that she's comfortable with him and she is accepting him in her energy zone, in her periphery. What then happens next is that he tells her about this whole new business thing that he's planning to set up in another place, and he tells her everything, like this is the business and this is what's going to happen and this is the amount of money I will make and this is what my father is not really pressurizing me. In fact, he was like, it's your call, but my mother, I don't know, because she's very much excited. I don't know if I should say no to her or yes to her. And I personally myself don't know if I should do this or not, because it's not like something is really exciting me, or it's not like something is really, making me feel like, oh, I don't want to do this. So he doesn't have any feeling towards that business. It's like completely neutral. He knows that if he gets into that business opportunity or that model, then his role is just to be there, just to manage things, just to manage the employees, or, not much, because it's like an autopilot business. It's like an extension of another business that the family is into or they're doing. Now she listens to all of this very calmly, and on a piece of paper she writes down inner work. And he looks at her and he goes like, inner work? She's like, yes. So he says, what do you mean? Can you explain it to me? She's like, I don't know exactly whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it, or you want to please your mom, or you are okay with how your dad sees things. I only know one thing, that everybody on this planet is here to do inner work. And the only thing that you should focus about and you should think about is the inner work. So he's like, okay, you mean spiritual work? She's like, yeah, I mean spiritual work, because you are spiritual, I'm spiritual, we are all spirits, we are all spiritual beings. We are here on planet Earth for a specific amount of time. We are here, and that we have to make the most of this time. Now, one thing I can give to you ladies over here, what I sensed is that she does think that he's very handsome. This is one thing I could read from her energy, that she does think that he's very handsome. She finds him attractive. And that is one thing that has actually got her connected with him, because, it's like her sacral energies, though she's not jumping on him or she's not going, oh my God, but she's thinking that, why am I attracted to him? Like, why? Like, she's thinking in her head, she thinks that I don't get attracted to all the guys I meet. I don't even feel the need of being in a relationship. I don't even feel the need of being committed or spending my time with someone or meeting someone. But he is someone I'm okay to meet. And he was in my past, he was there in my past too. So maybe I'm supposed to, eventually, be with him. She has those thoughts. So those thoughts are based on the attraction she feels towards him. And there is, yes, little bit of physical attraction, but she is not very jumpy about it. She's not jumpy about the relationship aspect at all. As I said, there is very less of that energy in her. The only thing she thinks about, she sleeps, she eats, she breathes, she walks, she talks, is the mission work. And then she tells him that you better focus on your inner work. If you really want your life to become of some meaning or of some use, then that is the thing you should do. And all of these things like work, job, money, business, all of this will keep happening. Because he is not really keen on doing anything as such. He's like, yeah, I can run any business, I can do anything. It's the same for me. Everything is same for me. Now, I also see that the father sort of likes her. He has a liking towards her, but the mother is really not interested. She doesn't show any interest in this Divine Feminine. She's like, okay, there is somebody with my son, that's it. So there is this element of, like his attention is there, But there is something which he is not 100% sure of, because though he feels a lot of love towards her, a lot of attraction towards her, he feels very nice when she's around, and they bump into one another in two places. So I see there is a lot of divine intervention at play, and like how the trip got, like already managed. Everything seemed to be like God's magic or something. So this is where this dream ended. Now, I will tell you the energy of this dream for sure. And then I had asked a question to the universe that what is the key element? Why is this divine feminine or masculine, or all the divine feminines that I am working with, or they are connected to me either through the channelings or some way or the other, why is it that they had to go through this? Why didn't they get the attention of the divine masculine? Why did he ill-treat her? Why did he do this? And when I say her, I mean all of the divine feminines who went through this, who are in separation phase, who had those horrible exchanges where there was so much meanness and abandonment was felt by her, and so much betrayal by the divine masculine. And then suddenly in the morning, I received the word acknowledgement. And it was so deep that I was literally in tears. Now, what I was given is that the divine feminines, they have not been given any acknowledgement, or very little acknowledgement, by the person who raised them, the feminine energy who raised them. Now, a lot of you I know were not raised by your direct biological parents. Most of you were, but a lot of you were raised by either grandparents or stepmothers, or someone in the family was more, there. And those of you who had the mothers also, what I see is that the mother never acknowledges, the mother energy or the feminine nurturing energy never acknowledged the divine feminine. Especially when she was hurt, when she was sad, when she was miserable and she wanted to share something to her, she would walk up to her, she would say, start saying something, or she would tell her that I got hurt, or someone abused me, or someone hit me. She would simply walk away, or she would simply say that I'm busy, not now, some other time, or she would tell her that, oh, it's okay, come on, I have to do something. So the divine feminine as a child would go to the mother or the mother figure, whosoever it was, and tell her that, hey, I want to talk about, it could be anything, like she probably discovered some yellow flowers as a child, and she was very amazed by those yellow flowers. So she walked up to the mother and said, Mom, I found the yellow flowers. And look at them, they're so beautiful. I've never seen something like that. Aren't they wonderful, mother? Or something like that. And the mother would say, oh yeah, okay. And she would say, Mom, come on, look at the flowers. They're so nice. And Mom would say, hey, don't disturb me. Just go away. Can't you see I'm working? And this happened many times on many occasions. And what actually created the big wounds were when she was hurt by other people, or she was bullied, or she was in a scenario where she really needed an elderly figure or a nurturing figure to stand by her. The mother simply shooed her away, or she made her feel like she is not protected. No one cares. No one really cares. That's the energy I got. No one cares. And even when she cried out loud that, Mom, listen to me, I want to tell you something, she would say, come on, I have to do something. I don't have time for this. And whatever she was doing, the girl fell, the child fell. It could be boys, it would be guys also. Anyone who's carrying the feminine template, it would resonate to that. So if they would see that, okay, if she's really doing something important, they would not feel so bad. But they would see that it was nothing, like maybe brooming or maybe making, cleaning something. But it was something which was personal to the mother, which is, what the mother wants to do, the mother's interest, what the mother loves. So this created a big block inside the feminine. And she was forced to believe that whatever is happening with her, be it a discovery which is really interesting in nature, or some pain, or her inquisitivity, or her curiosity, or simply things like she tops in the class, she comes back running and she says, hey Mom, I got first position in the class. And the mom would be like, oh yeah, honey, I don't have time for this. I'll talk to you later. And she was thinking, hey, I got the highest score. I got the highest marks and no one cares. So And or else what happened was there were siblings in the house, or I also see the sister or the brothers of the mother who were more important, or she really cared a lot about the siblings, her own, the mothers or the mother figures siblings, that she was more busy towards them, taking care of them, talking about them, their education, their study. There is a big DNA mismatch in the divine feminine and the energies of the mother. So it's almost like the divine feminine could be a star seed or an indigo or a rainbow, whereas the mother figure has a lot of karmic debt or karmic baggage that she still needs to clear. So they are definitely not on the same frequency ever since she is conceived. Even in the womb, even as a child, there is complete frequency and energy mismatch. Now, this does not mean that you all have to start blaming the person who raised you. No, it's just that this is how it is scientifically. You have to understand that there is a certain science in spirituality, which obviously a lot of people don't understand on planet Earth because it's a very high form of science. So spirituality itself is the actual science. The science that is taught in school, that's not science. Spirituality is the real science. So I had to say this. So the mother figure was not on the same frequency. So if the child would really say, Mom, look at these yellow flowers, mom would actually feel that, oh, they're just ordinary yellow flowers. In her perception, in the way she has been raised by her parents, or the ancestry she has, or the DNA she has, those are just meaningless flowers that don't have any value. But for the child, it's like a world inside those flowers. She's amused by the pollen, she's amused by the coloring, she's amused by the design, she's just amused by the brightness of the yellow flowers. And in many occasions, it happens that more than the pain, it is also the excitement that a child wants to share with the elders or the adults. And when they are completely shut off, completely closed, they really don't know how to behave. They don't know if I should be good or if I should be bad. There is also narcissism in this type of reading that I received. It felt like the mother was only concerned about herself, her happiness, her pain, her joys, her relationships, her people. And though obviously there is a biological connection here, and then in some cases I sense the connection of a nurturer, which could be a grandmother or an aunt who raised her. Maybe the mother passed over, or there is a stepmother. So there is some kind of, relationship formation is there, but it's almost like, I don't understand this child. I don't know what this child is thinking or this child is doing. Or even if they tried to make a bond with the child, it just could never be formed. Whereas the other children or the other siblings who were on the similar frequency, on the more materialistic frequency, less of spiritual frequency, they got along really well. So it's like birds of a feather flock together. So this created a deep wound in all of these feminines, and they felt kind of abandoned, and they felt that they could never put across something that they genuinely feel. And this energy that, this lack of acknowledgement, and acknowledgement is a very important thing. Sometimes more than acceptance, just the acknowledgement of, for example, in my therapy, someone talks to me, they tell me something. They could be completely wrong, they could be completely right, they could be in whatever. But I have to give them a nod, okay, yes, I listen to you. That's why I do all these video sessions when I do the readings, because I want to see the person, or I want to, know what their expressions are, what they're doing. And I tell them that do not, be distracted, give complete attention and focus to this session only. And also you're paying for it, so it makes all the more sense for you to get serious. Though money is not the criteria, it's obviously that you're serious about your inner work, you really want to ascend in this journey. But what happens, the child doesn't know all of this. The adult knows this, the adult world knows this, but in the child's world, it can be as simple as the child just jumped from somewhere. It was probably a height the child had never imagined. And it can happen to boys as well as girls. It can even happen to the masculine. And could be possible that a lot of masculines also did not get the right form of acknowledgement. That's why they have this matching energy with the feminine. So the child jumps from somewhere. It's a height. he had not achieved this before. He goes to the mother and says, look, mom, I can jump like this much from this place. And the mom goes like, whatever, I'm doing something, I'm busy. So that's why I say there's no need to blame people, because that's just how people are. But the wounds, as I said, can come from anywhere. It can be something really painful. It can be something very mean. It could be very hurtful. It could be maybe a teacher in the class who never listens to you. You could be like working very hard to do the homework. You could be doing, like putting all your emotions into it, giving your 100%, and the next day she doesn't even look at you, like she just throws away the notebook or something like that. So these things create wounds in the children, and then these wounds have to be dealt with in the childhood. In case of the divine feminines and the divine masculines, it's all the more important to heal these wounds, to locate these wounds, is because they are on a spiritual journey. So they have the empathetic nature, which means for them these things matter the most, like getting the right type of acknowledgement, feeling the love, knowing that you're in the safe place, you're comfortable, so that the adult then can take care of the inner child. So it doesn't mean that they are extra sensitive or they are like too emotional, but then they do have emotions, and it's very important to have emotions. So in the dream sequence, what I saw is what I gather is that the divine feminine has gone through some kind of bitterness with the divine masculine in the past, because I did see a reference of the past. But with time, he has actually sort of learned how she is. He has figured out that she's more of a pure soul who is, minding her own business, doing her own thing. And he actually perceived her to be like a selfish person or a mean person, someone who didn't love him, or because she was unhealed, she was too damn straightforward, or too damn, like you say something which could be the truth, but you say it in a very negative way, or with too much brashiness, too much like in the face, which really hurt him. And since he has the rejection wounds, like the feminine has acknowledgement and abandonment wounds, he has the rejection wounds. So those wounds created triggers between both of them, which had led to a separation. And now when they are back together, she is taking it one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And at the same time, she wants to tell the divine masculine that the reason she feels so loved and so independent, and she doesn't have all those emotional traumas or worries, or she doesn't want to get into the drama, basically the drama side of life, is only because she did some inner work. She did a lot of inner work, and she spent a whole lot of time healing her wounds. So she kind of gives him the same suggestion that, look, this is the only thing you're here to do on planet Earth. So that should be your only focus. The money and the work and the business, that will just keep happening side by side. Because for some people, it's very important what they choose. But for some people, what they do, like the work they do, comes to them very easy, very, very handy. Like a business or a house business, or something that they had invested in like probably 5 years back or 10 years back, but now it's giving them the profit, things like that. So this is the type of situation he is in, that he's not really making much effort, but it's there. Now, his idea, what I sensed in that dream sequence, is that he doesn't want to go far from her. That's his idea. And probably that is the problem he sees with that particular business idea, that could take them far. And she, with all her confidence, tells him that, look, it's all right. As long as you're focused in the inner journey, it's okay. So that's like extremely confident, and I kind of got very inspired with that type of energy. Now, we don't know what her mission was, what exactly she was doing, but she's definitely doing something that could change a lot of people's life, and it was giving her a lot of happiness and a lot of satisfaction and a lot of contentment. And the divine masculine saw that. Because I saw that when she was doing paperwork while they were traveling, he was looking at her. He was like trying to read the notes, but he was just happy that she's busy. She's doing something so much fun, that she's, a part of something meaningful and something that is so humanitarian. He just really like that. The only worry he had is that he doesn't want to be away from her. So on that note, I'm going to end this channeling. Remember to acknowledge yourself. If you really feel, like down in the dumps, that there is some wound of acknowledgement and some wound of abandonment that needs to be healed fully. When I say fully, it should not be left even like 5% or 10%, because even that 5% or 10% can create a negative reality for you. So if you want to have something in the three-dimensional world, in my opinion, the divine feminines actually have to rise up from the three-dimensional world. They have to mentally live in the 5D, the 4D, 5D, or even above. So on that note, I'm going to end this channeling. One love and peace out. And yes, I'm able to finish it in this channeling itself. So no part 5 for this. This is where the channeling ends. Thank you so much and much love.